Thanks for joining me today. I really do appreciate you being here. So today we're going to talk about some of the things that go on when you're in your 60s, and we're going to do it with a bit of a funny twist. So throw your hearing aids on if you're in your 60s, buckle up in your rocking chair and let's get started. Because today we're going to talk about life in the 60s, the real stuff that nobody talks about. Not the glossy images of cruise ships, if you can still see them, not the golf clubs, or the smiling grey-haired couple walking hand in hand. No, we're talking about the everyday struggles, the aches, the pains, the funny moments, and the little surprises that come along that are not so funny. If you're already in your 60s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's if you remember how old you are. And if you're not there yet, don't worry, it's just around the corner. So be sure to take notes. Take notes in large font so you can read them in your glory years, because your time is definitely coming. And let's start with the obvious one. Your body, when you're in your 60s, things change. I mean, really change. Back in your 40s, 50s, you get the occasional sore shoulder or a dodgy knee. Maybe you pull a muscle in your back once every few years, and you've always bounced back. But now you're in your 60s, those little aches don't just pass through anymore. They've moved in permanently, like they're paid tenants or something. Take my back, for instance. I used to pull the same muscle every few years. Now it's every few months. One wrong twist or stretch, and bang, there it goes again. Back to the physios again. Same muscle, same spot. Like an old friend that overstayed his welcome and refuses to bloody leave. And then there's the troublesome knee. I used to get the odd twinge, maybe every few years, after doing something like climbing a ladder, running around with the kids maybe. These days it's almost routine. Every few months, sometimes every few weeks, it pipes up once again. Out comes a trusty knee brace and start the same boring questions from friends over and over again. And family. Oh, what have you done? I feel like sending out a bulk email to say the same question 30 times. I bet some of you know exactly what I'm talking about because you've been there too, right? It's not just the big stuff either. Everything takes on a whole new challenge. Getting off the couch, for example, isn't just standing anymore. It's a carefully planned bloody routine. You shuffle to the edge, push your hands, and let that unmistakable groan out again. Sometimes it's just easier to spend the night on the couch, to be honest. If you've got friends of similar ages visiting, it's like a chorus of walruses trying to get up and get the beer. And what about when you drop something on the floor? You now hesitate. Do I really need to pick it up? Half the time you're just tempted to leave it there until tomorrow, or just literally kick it aside. When you do finally bend down, you're already planning how to get back up. And that can take some strategic planning when you ping that back muscle again. And the jars? Let's talk about jars. At some point, jars stopped being jars and became the sworn enemy. Now the dodgy hand or the wrist comes into play. You're standing there in the kitchen, hands slipping on the jar, face red, wrestling with the jar of pickles. It's like it's a life or death damn thing. And you're not prepared to lose this battle. Instead, you end up in ED, the tennis elbow killing you. And then there are the noises. And I don't mean the TV being louder. I mean you. In 60, your body develops all sorts of sound effects, and they don't stop neither. It's like you've got your own built-in orchestra. Knees clicking, ankles cracking, hips making noises you've never heard before. Is your body even capable of that? Walking upstairs? That suddenly sounds like you're walking on bubble wrap. Every joint making its own little sound. That's if you can even get past the first step. The time has come for the in-home chairlift. And then, of course, there's the memory. What was this video about? Who would know? You walk into that room full of purpose, ready to do something, and then nothing. Complete blank. It's gone. Why am I here? Absolutely nothing. You're standing there like a bloody tourist. in your own home, completely confused and absolutely no idea why you're there. I guarantee half of you had the exact moment this week, maybe more than once. It's so frustrating, but it's also so funny. You either laugh at it yourself or you drive yourself mad. And no doubt, if you have a partner or a spouse, you've already driven them to drink. But life in your 60s isn't all about the aches and groans. There's another side. Something changes in your mind. You start noticing differently and you stop rushing everywhere. Perhaps that's because you can't rush anymore without breaking a bone. You don't feel like you have to prove yourself anymore. And that's actually a blessing, because good luck trying anyway. You start focusing on what really matters. Time with people who care about you, doing the things that give you joy, with family. And the partner who you drove to drink, and you literally start laughing at yourself a whole lot more than you used to before. Because if you don't, you'll cry. Instead of frustration when you're getting up, you smile. Say, at least I stood. At least I even woke up alive this morning. Instead of anger when you forgot why you're in the kitchen, you shrug and you smile. What else can you do? I still had no idea why I was in the hardware store last week. Maybe I just needed a packet of screws for the job I didn't even know I was doing. And you just carry on laughing. It's a shift. You go from trying to live harder to learning how to live smarter. And life in your 60s doesn't mean life is falling apart completely overnight. Note the word completely. It's not like everything suddenly breaks. It's more like the warranty has probably expired about 40 years ago. And now you've learned how to manage the quirks and make the most of what works, if anything. The aches and the pains, they still come knocking, but you don't have to let them in, if you're awake to stop them, that is. In your 60s isn't about giving up. It's about adapting and adjusting every day. And lots of it, I can assure you. And it's also about laughing more often. It's about finding joy in the small things that really matter, like your musical niece, for example. If you're in your 60s, share your own stories in the comments. What surprised you most? And if you're not there yet, don't worry. Your time's coming faster than you probably think. Thanks again for being here today, and I'll see you in the next video, if I remember my YouTube password.